Hello, all. Welcome back to my fragrance journey. My name is Ron, and today I'm just sharing 5 fragrances that I simply haven't shared before, at least here on YouTube. Now, I will immediately state that this is to the best of my recollection. I did not fine tooth comb my previous videos, but as far as I can recall, I haven't spoken about any of these, and it makes sense because most of these haven't been in my collection too terribly long, but I wanted to share them now. So let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. So first up, I have Charmed by D.grayi. Now, wow. D.grayi is a indie house by perfumer James Nguyen, and this fragrance was actually the first one that I ever spotted from them. It just caught me. I think it was an Instagram ad or something, but I was just sucked in and I knew I had to get it right away when I, decided to place an order from the house. So, Charmed is described as a lavender forest, a dark, fruity chypre, and the key notes or accords for it are spearmint, lavender, violet, prosperity spell, wine, oak moss, oud, black frankincense, and amber. For me, this is really dark. It's deep, alluring. It gives a lot of visuals. It conjures up a forest at midnight. The moon is shining above, but it's not fully visible under the trees. You get the earth, leaves, that dampness that always seems present in any heavily wooded area. The wine makes you think of berries in the tangles below, and it all comes together to be heady and captivating and also a bit soothing. To my nose, I really get the violet, the wine, oak moss, and frankincense. I also get touches of the amber too. And there's also sort of just an herbal quality, and as I mentioned before, also that damp earthiness. Not exactly Jossman, but it's in that vein, which always pleases me. There's also a bit of magic to it, as noted with that prosperity spell accord. So in the write-up on it on their website, they mention that this prosperity spell contains pine needles, woods, roses, spices, and pepper. Now, spells and that sort of thing, that might not really be your bag. That might not be something you put a lot of stock or weight into, and that's obviously a very individual thing. But I do appreciate the intention behind it, wanting to add that bit of prosperity, positivity, protection to a fragrance on top of just smelling lovely. I find the whole accord doesn't necessarily come through that distinctly in any way. It just kind of adds to the complexity of the fragrance, I find. There's sort of a haze that seems to just fill in the gaps and makes everything feel really well blended. So while I was able to, pick out certain notes, nothing actually feels disjointed or jarring from one thing to the next. This is one I actually haven't worn enough since I've gotten it, and I think partly it's because, as you can see, I just have a tiny 5 ml of it, and I know I'm just going to blow through it if I really let myself dive in, and I've been trying to savor it because I really, really do love this one. It's really quite good. So yeah, that is Charmed by D.grayi. Alright, so next we have Durian, which is also by D.grayi. Now, this is described as a tropical gourmand, and it's centered around durian, obviously, which is actually James's favorite fruit, he says. And the specific inspiration for this is a durian and avocado smoothie, which he says is his go-to drink in the write-up about it. Now, the key notes and accords are kaffir lime, tea leaves, durian tincture, avocado, condensed milk, and amber. Now, I'll just say straight out that I've never tasted or smelled durian. I know it has sort of this reputation that's, rather polarizing. And I know that a lot of folks like to make a big fuss about it when they try it. And I'll just say, quick little rant. I often find that really annoying and it kind of like pisses me off just because I think that there's this, I don't know, there's this seeming need that folks have to just really sensationalize their dislike of durian. It comes off as just really rude and steeped in that, classic cruelty of wanting to like other something. And honestly, I think a lot of it's based in like, you know, perhaps xenophobia or cultural problems, just wanting to other people, make them feel bad about, their background or the things that come from their culture. And I don't know, I just don't like any of that. So, hey, if you don't like durian, fine, but do folks really need to just harp on how supposedly disgusting and foul and all this stuff? I don't know. Anyway, getting really off here. Back to the perfume. So, again, I've never smelled durian, so I don't have any way to really compare it to the real thing, but I am assuming I smell it quite prominently in this fragrance just because right at the beginning, there's this note that I can't place, and it's overwhelmingly or overall just got kind of a distinct funkiness to it. It's not a bad funk. It's just a funk. It's just something a little different, and I actually find it kind of sexy. And it, while being prominent, does meld into kind of everything else that's going on. Now, with everything else, I don't get a lot that's that distinct. It's kind of just this, I do get the tropical vibe, but more than anything, I just get this sort of creaminess to everything. Not quite lactonic. I know they say condensed milk. Not quite that, but there is I guess, a touch of sweetness, but not like sugary sweet, just like almost like a natural sweetness, just a hint. And then definitely that creaminess that comes through, which also could be some of the avocado as well. Avocado doesn't have a terribly strong fragrance, but obviously it's a very creamy component to pretty much anything you add it to. And I do find that it does have a soft sort of, fresh, slightly almost like aquatic or, I don't know, just a very soft fragrance. Touch, maybe floral even. But yeah, in this, I just really get that kind of sexy funk and a little creaminess. And I like it though. It's really alluring. It's one of these ones that I just keep smelling my wrists throughout the day. And actually between this and Charmed, I reach for this one quite often. Now, again, with Charmed, I'm also kind of just being rather precious because I just adore it so much, but I really adore Durian as well. And in both cases, I want to get a full bottle and plan to. So yeah, I think if you are looking for something a bit off the beaten path, especially if you are, a real big like fragrance person, right? You're not just looking for like another signature scent, but you really just like the exploration part. Yeah, this is one to check out for sure. So this is Durian by D.grayi. All right, so up now is Pretty Boy by Sunday Forever. This is a small brand that kind of does a little bit of everything. They have like some home goods, some candles, clothing, all that sort of thing, and they do a bit of fragrance. I actually stumbled upon this fragrance in particular several months ago, and it just caught me. Something about the like simple bottle and the label and everything. I just thought it sounded or seemed really nice, and then the name Pretty Boy, like, I don't know, that just kind of intrigued me, especially when I went to the website and read up on the fragrance, and it did seem like they were doing sort of a here's a fragrance that could be, I guess, considered male marketed. They don't say that that's what they're doing, but it seems that that's kind of the leaning. But it's a little bit, again, off the beaten path, a little left of center, not a typical male marketed fragrance, which historically I don't get on well with. You may have heard me mention that before, especially things that are in like the fougere category. Just not my cup of tea. I enjoy it sometimes on other folks, but I don't feel like myself when I wear them, and they don't work out typically. So, funnily enough, after I spotted this about a week later, there was a giveaway from somebody else I follow on Instagram in partnership with Sunday Forever, and it included this 30 ml of this fragrance, and I won it. And so I was like, oh wow, this is wonderful. It was the first thing only thing I've ever won off Instagram. I thought that was a bit fun, and got a cute little package from them. It was very sweet. Unfortunately, this just isn't for me. It definitely is all the things I don't typically love. It is very much a stereotypically male marketed fragrance, at least as far as the type of scent. Again, they're not necessarily marketing that way, but that's the kind of scent profile I get. And in that, very specifically, it's very fougere. It's very aromatic. It's very crisp. It's very cold. It's very mountain air in a bottle, which, I mean, isn't all bad things in one sense, but I just don't want to wear this. I tried wearing it a couple times, even when I just spray it on the back of my hand just to kind of test it. It's very strong. It's very present. It doesn't really fade down. And I find that I get very worn out when I wear it. Like, I actually feel I wouldn't say maybe exhausted, but I feel very tired of the fragrance very quickly because I smell it pretty much continuously. It doesn't just kind of come in small wafts. It's just always there. And after about like an hour or so, I'm done. So, yeah, it didn't work out. Now, they don't really give like a specific like listed note breakdown. They just kind of call out different things in the write-up. So I'll go over that briefly. They mention, as the label says, violet, vetiver, fizzy citrus notes for an effervescence, kind of, basically an aldehydic, sparkly thing. They've got some cedar and sandalwood. And yeah, I like when I really smell it up close and kind of focus on it, I do get some different touches to what you might normally get in a fougere, but not enough for me to want to wear this. Now, that said, I do keep it though, partially because, they just sent it to me and it was very, again, a very sweet little package, and I feel bad about just like getting rid of it after winning it and after trying to win it and actually getting it. And also, it is something that I don't mind the occasional whiff of, though. So occasionally pulling off the cap or even a little spritz into the air and letting it kind of just dissipate, which it does beautifully in the air. That's wonderful. But it's just not one that I like to wear. So, yeah, sadly, it didn't quite work out yet. But, who knows? Maybe time will do what it does, but I don't think so. So this is Pretty Boy by Sunday Forever. Now, on to Island Gardenia by Jovan. Fragrantica just lists gardenia as the only note, which, no, that's not correct. Amazon says it's neroli, gardenia, and sandalwood, which I find to be more on the money. Now, I got this to help expand my gardenia repertoire, as I realized a few months back that Pacifica hates me because they are or were starting to phase out Tahitian gardenia, which I've long loved and raved about as not only just a gorgeous gardenia fragrance, but probably my top summer fragrance for many years. And so, yeah, they were just, I don't know, ripping out my heart, getting rid of it. So I wanted to see about other fragrances that are, prominent gardenia moments. And so I snatched this up as it's very affordable. It's about $15 on Amazon. And I will say, I truly was never expecting that they would be twins. And they're not. They're cousins. This is a very green gardenia at the top. I'm not saying it's very natural or photorealistic necessarily. I don't feel kind of like I do sometimes with the Tahitian gardenia that I've, shoved my face into a gardenia plant, as I've said before with that one. Actually, this is a bit synthetic at the beginning. Not terribly so, but it's definitely noticeable. And as it wears, it does, kind of meld more with my skin and softens up a bit. So it does kind of lose some of that synthetic touch, which is nice. And I actually find that as it wears, it gets quite a bit powdery and even a touch creamy. The dry down is definitely the sweet spot in that case. We're losing that synthetic quality and we're adding a little powder and a little creaminess to kind of balance that intense greenness at the very beginning. It's also really intense at the beginning, I'd say, which, duh, when you first spray something on, it's gonna be. But I find this like very intense. I can only do about 3 sprays max in the beginning. Otherwise, I'm well overpowered even for myself. Yet, in about an hour or so, it's really died down to the point that I actually want another application just to kind of boost it up and kind of seal things in for the rest of the day. And then it's fine. So it's kind of like 3, wait an hour, and another 3 sprays, and then I'm good to go for the rest of the day. So it's interesting. But yeah, it's a good one. It's definitely affordable. It's definitely a fun, addition to my kind of summer and Gardenia lineup. Does it fill the void in my heart for Tahitian Gardenia? No, it does not. And I never expected it to, like I said. So I will definitely be picking up a bottle on eBay or Mercari of my OG fave. Unfortunately, though, the price gouging has already started, and they're about double the price. So that makes me a bit sad. But yeah, this is Island Gardenia by Jovan, and yeah, not a bad little one to have. So now we have Spray Tan Body Spray by Snif. So they've been doing body sprays this year, and their first round seemed good. It was all very gourmand, whipped cream, berries, all that sort of thing. And I definitely was interested, but I just didn't end up taking the plunge. I might at some point in the future. But this baby really called to me. There's some interesting notes. They say, or they call out, tanning oil accord, manoi, carrot, banana flower, tiger lily, and Tahitian vanilla. Now, in typical, body spray fashion, there's not much evolution here. There's not much journey here. Everything kind of just hits you at once, and then it's pretty much gone in about 2 hours. And that's, fine, because I didn't expect anything different. So with that, what do I get hit with right at the beginning? I get the tanning oil accord. I absolutely do. It is just classic tanning oil. It's very summery because of that, because that's just my scent associations with it, which I think most people have the same. It's, yeah, just very, very summery, very just good for hot weather because it is a body spray, so it's very light. It also gives me the vanilla, gives me the manoi. I don't get the banana that I noticed, but it says banana flower, and I don't know that I've had anything that's ever had that before, so maybe my nose just isn't picking it up, because there's kind of just an overall tropical quality to this, I find, so maybe that's it. The carrot, I do think I'm picking it up, but again, I've never had that in a fragrance either, so I can't say for certain. I just find that in the sweetness of it, there seems to be something kind of attached that's a little vegetal. So, I assume that's the carrot. But also, since I've never had it before in a fragrance, maybe that's just the culinary side of carrot, influencing me to think that that's what it is. I don't know. But altogether, it's very gorgeous. Again, it all kind of just hits you and then goes. The vanilla is the component that really lingers the longest. And yeah, it's just a nice body spray. There's not much more to say. It is a little overpriced, or a lot of overpriced. They want $30 for this baby. Now, I have the little Snif points, or had. I used it the last of them on this one. And so I got it for about $10, and that's much more my speed with this. That I don't think I would ever pay full price. It's really gorgeous, but, 2 hours of gorgeous. And yeah, I can reapply. I work from home. It's not terribly hard, but still, no, not $30. So yeah, I will say though, the bottle is very, very gorgeous, like really, really pretty. I wish they would do this in more of their like other fragrances too. Both in just the style of the actual bottle and the color, this sort of like nudie, brownie, translucent. Yeah, that's all my vibe. So, yeah, that is Spray Tan, which also great name. Spray Tan by Snif. So, that concludes my 5 fragrances that I hadn't shared. So now that I have, I can go. But before I do, firstly, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. And if you've made it this far and maybe enjoyed my ramblings about scented waters, I would really appreciate you subscribing. I'm trying to do the whole, YouTube thing and be professional and make sure that I ask. So yeah, if you would do that, I would really appreciate it. And of course, if you have anything that you want to say about any of the fragrances I've mentioned, or maybe if this called to mind any other fragrances that you'd love to share, please do down below. I really love chatting with you all down below in the comments. It's honestly one of my favorite parts about this. And yeah, I just thank you all so much for watching and, of course, for joining me on my fragrance journey. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.